Hey, it's Jake. I'm here with a quick video to talk about the Ghost Archetype. I recently used the Ghost Archetype to include in the Hallowed Necromancer Oracle build that is here if you haven't seen it yet. So the Ghost Archetype is really fun and flavorful and cool, but there's some issues I have with it, so I'm gonna complain. I recently watched another PoofTuber who spoke of this archetype, and I have some disagreements with that, and I want to bring up some points so that somebody else can watch another video about it and know something more about it, because there just aren't that many videos on YouTube talking about this archetype, or frankly a lot of different Pathfinder 2 things. So anyway, the Ghost Archetype, the dedication I have very little issue with. I explained why floating makes sense to me. It's okay. Like, you just died, you can't fully fly yet because you got to learn how. Like, maybe when you die you flap your arms and realize, oh, that doesn't work. So just floating at first is fine. I understand why items work the way they do, why the strength works the way it does. It's cool that you can invest yourself in items and make them ghostly. That's just a cool idea. The part that I have an issue with in the dedication is the ties that bind. It says, when you become a ghost, work with your GM to choose a bound site and unfinished business, both of which matter for your character's story, as well as some ghost archetype feats. Your bound site tethers you to the physical world and is typically either a location important to you in life or the place where you died. Typically, yes, haunted houses are a thing. I get that. But if you open the bestiary, page 166, under Ghost Abilities, it says, Sightbound. A typical ghost can stray only a short distance from where it was killed or the place it haunts. A typical limit is 120 feet. Some ghosts are instead bound to a room, building, item, or creature that was special to it rather than a location. So your player character probably shouldn't be bound to a location at all. I mean, it'd be kind of funny if they were bound to their body still, and your friends had to schlep your corpse around everywhere you go. But I think it works just as well for you to be bound to a family heirloom that you had on you, or maybe one that you didn't have on you that was back at home and your friends have to go fetch it for you. Or you could choose a creature, either a family member, sure, but it could be somebody in the party. Like, maybe even after you die, you come to them as a ghost and you offer to create this bond so that you can stick with the group and carry on the adventure, the good fight. Maybe that's even part of your unfinished business, that your passion lies with whatever they're doing next and you want to be able to travel with them. So maybe you could like swear some sort of oath or do a magical ritual, or maybe there's like a blood ritual or something. But the point is that you could connect yourself to that character and then travel with them so that you're always with that person and they can't really leave you behind, which is kind of funny. I like the idea best if it's an item that was important to the character that they carried with them. Like in the Hallowed Necromancer video, Smudge, it makes sense that an item that he would have on him, I don't know if I mentioned it or not. Well, I know I mentioned part of this. So Smudge learned about light magic from his gnome mothers. He also learned how to use light magic to heal people. So he could have learned about light magic by being given this crystal pendant from his mothers. And that could like mean all the world to him, the origin of his story. It symbolizes him departing his vampire daddy and living on his own, and carrying a piece of his mother's with him made him feel safe, and it's a connection to his spiritual truth and the light that he has inside him. Anyway, that would have been perfect as his bound item. He's tied to that. And then he can just give that to anybody else in the group and they can take him with them, basically in their pocket. So that's a main point I wanted to make, that the ghost archetype doesn't have to be bound to a place or a corpse or anything like that. I'm going to go quickly through a few other archetype abilities. So the Frightful Moan at level 4, it works fine as is. personally, I would probably say it doesn't have to affect your allies. Because that kind of makes it useless in some situations. Like, especially if you're a caster like Smudge is. That kind of stinks. Ghostly Resistance, also level 4. The maximum hit points that you sacrifice are a little too much to pay for the small benefit you get of resisting some damage. So personally, I would say that it's like an 8th level feat, and you sacrifice that many hit points and you gain just a flat 10 resistance to all sources of damage except Force and Ghost Touch. Because that's what a ghost gets, usually. And then if I'm the GM and I really want to hurt them, I'll just hit them with Force. Like, you always have that control. Anyway, I guess it's okay as is. It's just a little underpowered. If you wanted to make it like more equivalent to its level, I would just double all the resistances. So when you first take it, you gain resistance 2, except 1. And if the source is non-magical, you have resistance 4 instead of 2. It's just more useful. Otherwise, it doesn't really, nobody's going to take it. Ghostly Grasp at level 6, I have an issue with because it requires an athletics check or a thievery check. If you're incorporeal, how is hitting something really hard or squeezing it really tight going to do anything? Or the thievery check, you're like really dexterously not able to touch anything. It makes more sense to me if this is some sort of wisdom-based check, because it's willpower, it's focus. Ghost Flight at level 8 makes sense to me. Once per day, for 10 minutes you can fly. Cool. Because like if you're a caster, level 4 is the level for the fly spell, in which case you can fly for 5 minutes. They could cast it multiple times if they wanted to. You can't, you have to take a feat, and you can only do it once. That seems perfectly balanced. Pass through at level 10. That's a different story. So there's several problems with it. One, you have to have master in acrobatics to take it at all. Acrobatics isn't used in this archetype for anything else. So you would have to be a dex-based acrobatic character to even be willing to take this feat. And it's passing through physical objects. It's like what a ghost is all about. So anyway, I would just remove that entirely. That's silly. You can only do it once every 10 minutes, which is kind of boring, but I guess it's balanced okay. Here's the real problem. It takes 3 actions. If you fail the check, and so you stop inside the object, or even if you succeed and you go through an object and you stay inside the wall because you just didn't find an exit by then, you're slowed 1 for your next turn. It takes 3 actions. Slowed 1 means you have 2 actions. You're permanently stuck. You just can't move ever. That would drive me insane. I think it would drive anybody insane. So something needs to be removed there. Personally, what I would do, I tend toward the more powerful side because I can always compensate for it if I want to as a GM. But people want to have fun with their toys. Just let them play with their toys. So I would have pass through be usable as often as they want. It takes 3 full actions and it has all the other restrictions except for it doesn't ever cause you to be slowed. Okay, I would also remove the acrobatics restriction. Because why? I mean, you're not made of anything. How would like turning sideways and shuffling a certain way help? You could use the same like wisdom-based check, like a will save DC 20, in order for them to move that turn. But having the 3 actions and just being able to move constantly, it's still difficult terrain, so their movement is still halved. Yeah, I'd probably just remove all of the restrictions and just make it 3 actions. It's difficult terrain. Go. have fun. Because, like, what's the worst thing that's going to happen? The ghost character is going to get ahead of everyone else and can't finish the adventure on their own. They can't beat the big bad guy by themselves. It's like the same thing as having a familiar scouting ahead. It's, who cares? It's level 10. Anyway, that's my 2 cents. Or $1.50. I gave you way more than 2 cents. Rejuvenation at level 12. I think it's kind of crap, but that's me. Like, if your character can't heal themselves, or they can't be healed by your party, then I think it makes sense. But still, reforming 2d4 days later means you might miss the entire adventure. So, like, maybe if it were like the same time next day, you reform at your bound item or person or site, fully healed. That's useful. And at level 12, that seems appropriate. Unlimited ghost flight, level 14. Fine, you can always fly. That's actually great. I think that's fine. So anyway, my big problems are pass through is just crap. It has so many restrictions. You have to make a DC 30 acrobatics check, take 3 actions. The movement is difficult terrain, and if you end your turn inside an object, you stay there forever. Oh, and you can only do it once per 10 minutes. It's so bad it's laughable. That should tell you something. Okay, well, that was all the complaining I had for today. Just wait till tomorrow. Thank you for listening. I hope that brought some clarity about how it would be more balanced and useful and fun. If you have any disagreements, let me know in the comments. I would love to keep talking about this. I'm quite curious to hear what experienced GMs have to say about this and how they would change it for their games. So let me know. Give me the info. Thank you for joining me.